Ha Gong-so is a gorgeous man with a bizarre capacity. One night while he is walking around the road singing to his self-made tune, high-hanging metals, some organ dealers capture him and remove him. Then his body is analyzed one small step at a time. Shockingly, Dong-so can see everything occurring in spite of his being practically dead. Sooner or later the specialist takes out both of his eyes and keeps them on a plate. However, the pupils appear to still be able to see, and the surgeon notices this before taking any action. While he is away, he gets a phone call that is shockingly strange. Things that look like tentacles emerge from the Dong-so wounds and begin to heal. Then, at that point, he reawakens and gradually ascends as the specialist watches with sickening dread. Dong-so snatches one of his eyes and places it close to his eye attachment. The strange tentacle-like objects immediately removed the eye and fixed it in its new location. So, Dong tries to get his other eye back. However, the surgeon calls for assistance simultaneously, so he leaps out the window and escapes for the following difficult day. Just remember to keep your composure. I got quick forward a while. One morning, a strange thing happens in the same city. A beautiful woman sculpture appears out of nowhere. A lot of people notice it and take pictures of it, but then, in a shocking turn of events, blood starts dripping from it. The sculpture is shown to not be made of clay. However, it is in fact a real person who has been sculpted into the shape of a statue. Soon after, the police led by Chief Inspector Jong Won arrive and remove the body. But even after hours of searching, all they can find on the body is a strange mark that looks like a combination of the letters P and L. After that, we are taken to Don, who then lives a life of anonymity in the city. He is wearing an eye fix to conceal his missing eye and appears to be really stirred up by the episode. One night while he is rehearsing his tunes, unexpectedly he feels a sharp aggravation in his eye attachment and encounters a dream in it. On his computer, he sees a first-person perspective of a person looking at a picture of the zodiac signs. One of the symbols in the picture is the. After his strange vision passes, he concludes that he is seeing through the other eye because the L word that was carved on the deceased girl from earlier. Dong also notices a variety of sketches around the person's table, which was transplanted to someone else the following day, and now he is working at a junkyard as a result. He observes some criminals harassing his previous boss. He tries to stop them, but he gets beaten up instead. After that, one of the criminals pulls out a knife and swings it at a Dong in the hope that he will dodge it. However, the Dong doesn't move at all because of this Dong, so his ear is cut off and he falls to the ground. Dongjo uses his enigmatic ability to reattach the thief's ear to his body after the thugs, terrified by the sight, immediately flee. Dong is being sought by organ traffickers at this time because his immortal body could be worth millions. Chief Inspectors Zhang also notices him near the crime scenes and thinks he is doing something that night. As a result, he tries to drown out his anxiety by immersing himself in music. He picks up a guitar and tries to play, high-hanging. Be that as it may, since it has been some time, he can't remember the chords, so he goes to his anonymous YouTube channel and plays the song in slow motion to learn the chords. The guy in his vision also plays the same song, and as soon as he does, Dongjo's eyes start hurting. Tired of the peculiar events, he chooses to go to a similar spot where he had been kidnapped and search for his other eye. Sadly, when he reaches the location, Dong is immediately recognized by one of the organ traffickers, and he calls for help. After a long chase, Dong narrowly escapes and tries to flee. However, a girl named Lisa approaches Dong, appears to be aware of his condition, and slices his leg to see if the rumors are true. To her surprise, Dong quickly heals his wound and escapes. Through his sketchbook, we are shown the same man from Dong-so's visions. Incredibly, the representations are of individuals who have been killed and transformed into sculptures. This demonstrates that the person who said the opposite I did it. In the following scene, is the murderer. Li Rang, a woman who is on her way to work on a bus, is introduced to us. She starts listening to the high-hanging metal song on YouTube when she gets bored, which seems to go viral after a while. When she gets to her workplace, she sees a lot of people outside. They are gazing at a human sculpture. After a while, she leaves with her crush and team leader Jin Xiao, who turns out to be the latest murderer in the city, who happens to be quiet and confident enough to break up the awkwardness. Li begins murmuring the high-hanging metal tune, and with this, Jin Xiao feels an unexpected aggravation in his eye. Gonzo likewise encounters something very similar and he begins getting a first individual view through the killer's eye. He sees Li in her place of employment. Finally, this reveals that the assailant is Jin Xiao himself. We also learn that Dongzhou and Dongzhou both recognize his song, and whenever it plays, they start communicating through telepathy. At night, Dongzhou has another vision in which he sees the words in his sketchbook and gets a better look at it. To his horror, he decides to look up corpse art on Google and finds images of recent murders. The next morning, he rushes to the spot he saw in his visions and discovers that the person with the other eye is the one responsible. He immediately recognizes Li after noticing her. As a result, he approaches her and asks about the man she was with the day before. However, as was to be expected, Li believes that he is a creep and walks away, leaving him with no leads because he is unaware of the murderer's appearance. As a result, he decides to learn more about himself. He inquires about the obscure place sign at a specialist in horoscopes. She explains that Pluto is a planet that is generally thought to be a bad sign. She then mentions the dates of the recent 2 murders and asks the expert if there is any connection between them. The expert responds that they are definitely connected and also explains that the next similar date is the 25th of December, which is tomorrow. This alarms Dog. She then mentions the date of the murders and asks if there is any connection between them, as he realizes he didn't buy any Christmas gifts. And furthermore that the following homicide will happen the following day. He wants to prevent it from taking place, but is unsure where to begin. In the interim, Li shows up at Ginsi Operations' home and has intercourse with him, unmindful of the way that he is a relentless executioner. After they are done Ginsi commentaries to clean up while Li sweeps through the house, she runs over his sketchbook and goes through it, wondering for no specific reason. Li is shocked when she sees the horrifying sketches of the recently deceased and learns that her crush, Jin Sok, is the killer. The next day, on December 25th, as predicted by Dong So, a statue corpse is found in a remote field. A colossal group accumulates and among them are the organ dealers and reviewer Zhang. Sadly, both parties became aware of the dogs and began chasing him. He is targeted first by organ traffickers. But just in time, Lisa, the enigmatic girl from earlier, shows up and knocks them out. She then takes Dong So to a secure location and properly introduces herself. It appears that she is a novelist working on an article about the connects. Are supernatural people like Dong So capable of regenerating body parts? Before leaving, the two exchange their numbers and promised to meet soon, immortalizing them. Then again, a frightened Li methodologies one of her partners and enlightens him concerning what she saw in Jinsuk's sketchbook. Later she gets Ginsi together and solicitations to talk in confidential that who then head to the roof and Li faces him for being a killer. She makes sense of that she saw all of his representations and his intricate detestable plans. Her partner is watching out for them from a corner. However, Li's cell phone starts ringing with the high-hanging metal song as a ringtone, which unfortunately blows his cover as Ginsi Op first knocks me out and then goes after the colleague he is about to push off the edge of the building. This damages Ginsi Up and simultaneously Dong So, who is close by, gets a dream of the housetop. Sadly, before he can arrive at the spot, Ginsi Up tosses the partner from the structure and kills him. Additionally, he kills Li to wrap up the situation. All through, the song continues to play, and the only thing the terrified dog sees is the murderer's coat as he watches the entire thing. Despite this, he rushes to the building, evading numerous security checkpoints, and then flies to the roof, where he finds Li's lifeless body. Despite the fact that the entire building is overrun with police and panicked individuals as a result of the 2 murders, Dong takes a chance and decides to find the killer, who has his eye. He goes downstairs and begins searching through the department, where, to his luck, he suddenly finds the killer. Goes after a man who shares the same code as the murderer as soon as Dongzhou reaches the restroom and gently traps him inside one of the stalls. Sadly, though, before he can even look at his face, some security staff show up and remove him. He tries his best to explain that the real murderer is still in the restroom, but no one listens to him because it turns out that the officers tracked his activities through cameras and are suspicious of him. Fortunately, the author Lisa saves him once more. In the meantime, frees him. Ginsi Up is in complete disbelief about how someone could have seen him commit the murders. He thinks about it for hours but can't come to a conclusion. However, When he listens to the same song and feels a sharp pain in his eyes, he finally comes to the conclusion that the issue is caused by his transplanted eye. Anyone with the other eye can see through him and experience everything he does, and the only way to address this is through surgery in the intensive care unit. Dongjo, on the other hand, takes Lisa home and walks her through everything from start to finish. He begins by recounting his childhood accident in which he fell from a tree and broke all of his limbs, but miraculously, every bone healed itself in a matter of seconds. His friends called him a monster, and even his family shut him out, so he moves on to describe the night he was kidnapped by organ harvesters. He was cut open and his eyes were taken out, yet because of his powers he mended every one of the injuries and recaptured awareness. Before the bad guys could get close to him, he then reopened one of his eyes and fled the scene. He is now experiencing first-person visions of the other person. The individual is, without a doubt, the city's most wanted murderer. He is aware of this due to the elaborate plans and sketches he saw in his visions. The issue, however, is that despite hearing everything, he has not yet seen the murderer's face. Lisa is surprised, but she still decides to help him and gives him a pair of sunglasses to hide from people because his iconic eye patch is easy to spot at night. Dongso is alarmed when he sees his wanted poster hanging in a department store. He quickly runs outside and tries to run away, but at the same time, his eye starts hurting. The killer then appears to him in a vision as he watches his YouTube video. This makes Dog realize that he can only have visions when the killer listens to his song, High Hanging Metals. Later that night, as Dog is thinking of ways to deal with the situation, he has another vision in which he sees the killer drawing his own sketch. It shows up as though Ginseoff is attempting to caution Ware so to avoid his business. However, throughout the process, he accidentally shows his next targets, 3 schoolgirls. Dongjo is shocked by what he sees, so he decides to catch the killer before anyone else does. He knows that the entire city is looking for him, but at this point, he doesn't care in the final scene, just like Dongjo. So is looking for clues when he comes across a street musician playing a cover of one of his songs for a brief moment. He loses himself in the beauty of the song he wrote himself, forgetting all of his worries. Once more, what an egotist. In any case, Dongso's blissful second is brief as he gets a dream. Shockingly in it, he sees himself jerking in torment. This indicates that the killer is watching him from a nearby vehicle when Dong comes to his senses and looks around. He sees a shadowy figure watching him from a nearby car and screams, so he runs after him right away. However, Inspector Zhang and his coworkers simultaneously arrive and arrest him. The incident concludes with a distraught Dong being taken to the police station. This show is brutal. Check out the series recaps for the following episodes. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.